Okay, so now we're going to actually get in and push forward. And to do that, I'm going to stop my server and clear it out. And I'm going to close all those other pages.
Hold on.
Yes.
Before you do so, I would recommend going and copying the that JSON data so you can see the structure, because you're going to need to unmarshal that later.
I love how you think ahead. And we'll just, put that. I guess everybody's seeing my Amazon user ID. I'm a little uncomfortable with that. And we'll just put it right here. Please, please, please treat me kindly. I'm trying to help. All right.
So yeah, the user ID shouldn't be a problem to have known.
If you want to buy stuff and have it sent to me, that's great. So next we just have to look at what we got to do. So maybe this will make more sense after I refresh everything. And I'm just going to copy all this down here so we could kind of tick it off as we do it. Well, yeah, and I'll just keep it in one place. And I could add any notes that I feel need to be added. So modify the server from the previous exercise. Create a new map, OAuth connections. I know how to make a map. And what's going to be stored in that? Key should be user IDs from the OAuth provider. Value should be user IDs in your own system. So those are both going to be strings.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to put it down here. And it's going to be called that. And I'm going to duplicate this. And key is going to be OAuth provider. Is that right? Where's it? The key will be user IDs from OAuth provider. So key is UID from OAuth provider. And the value is...
so in our case, it's the email.
Is email, really?
Yeah, because that's what we're using as user IDs in our system.
Okay, I was thinking session ID, but we want user ID. Value is user ID, e.g. email. I'll just do e.g. There we go, and I'll do a semicolon so we don't... There we go. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to be string.
Yep.
And I need to change the name. I can sense you're like, don't forget to change the name. You're waiting to see if I do it. And I need to initialize.
That's what I was actually getting.
Woo! I like that. Look, I make it my code flash. It's Halloween. We just need a little...
Watch out for seizures.
Seizures. All right, so now that I did that, all right, I got the first part done. In the endpoint, your provider receive, and so I'm back in, where
this
it
code
starts all the way up there. This is huge.
Yes.
Amazon receive, right? So if I look at that endpoint, it's going to be OAuth Amazon receive.
Yep, which the name kind of matches the URL.
I like it. Extract just the user ID from the result of your call in the previous exercise. This will usually require creating a struct and unmarshalling, decoding JSON data. So I'm going to go to Golang JSON to struct, strug, string, struct, and I'll probably give you the same website. There we go. And I'm going to, do I still have it in there?
No.
I do not. I'm going to go,
you put it in the doc.
Right here. And that's out here. And that's there. And I don't need any of these things anymore. If I do, I'll bring them up. I'll leave one Go doc open. Switch, close to the right. And so here's my little struct. And down here, I'm going to comment that out. And then drop in my struct. And I'm going to unmarshal this. So I could use unmarshal, or I could do the decode, encode decode. So I could decode or I could unmarshal. And I'm just thinking this through. And if I do decode, I'm decoding straight from the response body. And so if I no longer need to, if I did unmarshal, I'd need to check that right there and read the response body and get all that out. But if I just decode, I could just skip that, right?
Yep.
That's my thinking. So I'm going to get rid of that because I'm just going to be able to get things out. But I still want to check the status code, make sure the status code is good. And I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that. And now I'm going to...
Line 304 has got an error.
Dang it. Get rid of that. All right. And now I have to refresh myself on JSON, and I'll get it here. Encoding JSON.
Yep.
Yay. And then I have a new decoder. Will give me a pointer to decode, and then with that I can decode, and then I pass in some value of any type, and it returns an error. So new decoder decode, and decode is going to be pointed to, and so I'm going to do JSON.new decode decoder, and save that. Let me see. And then that's going to be a function, and I'm going to call decode, and that's going to be a function, and it needs to take in a pointer, so I'm going to put this up here, and I think I'm only going to be using this struct here, so I'm just going to call this auth data.
Yep, yeah, or profile response or something. Because that's what it is.
We know it's an OAuth, so
yeah.
Profile response, and then I will create a value of that type, and so PR.
A PR team is a very good thing to have.
Var PR profile response, and that's just going to create an empty profile. This is a struct, and a struct is a reference type. Is it a reference type?
Nope.
No, structs aren't reference types.
Correct.
So that's automatically the zero value. That is going to be the zero value of all these fields, and this won't be a nil pointer.
Correct.
Okay, and then I'm going to do PR, and because it needs a pointer, and I'm going to save that, and it returns to an error :equal, and then my if error is not equal to nil, and I'm going to do some of this stuff. Not able to decode JSON response. And we can take that out, we can take this out. Makes it seem like there should be something more there. And redirect there, and return, and that just needs to be an equal.
Yep.
And hold on, let me see. Too few arguments and called a JSON decoder. I need my response body. And new decoder takes in a reader and a response body. A response body is a read closer, so it's a reader. That looks pretty good.
Yep.
So now I should have my JSON in PR.
Yep.
And when I have that, I want to unmarshalling decoding, get the local user ID from OAuth connections. Get the local user ID from OAuth connections map. All right. OAuth connections map is sessions. OAuth expires is time, and so this is going to be UUID. Key is session ID, value is email, and then we have key is email, auth connections. I'm thinking what I need here is my email, right? My user's email.
So that's what you want to get out of it, yeah.
So get the local user ID from OAuth connections map. OAuth connections map. Get the local user ID. I haven't put a local user ID in OAuth connections map yet.
But if they have in the past, then OAuth connections may be filled in already from someone who's previously from a login.
Maybe somebody has already logged in.
Yeah. So, or they've already registered with this OAuth, and so this is a login attempt.
Previously.
So the OAuth connections is
registered with this OAuth 2 provider with us at our site. Maybe. So get the local user ID from auth connections map, right?
Yep.
All right. And so I got their email. So it's going to be value okay, : equals, ba-boom, and then ba-boom, and then pr.email,
So the key is their user ID from the provider user ID.
pr.user ID. And if value okay, not okay,
So what I would actually do
or
is
okay actually, right? Like they've already done it, we're going to deal with it. What?
so I would actually do it the other way around. Just get the V and OK, and then the next step says if there was no value. So a separate if for not OK.
So if not okay, like that.
Yep, because we'll set V to a different value here, but you'll have code that uses V after this if statement.
All right. So let me see this. So get the local user ID from auth connections map. If there was no value in the map,
So that's your if not OK.
set the user ID to random user ID from your user's map. If
So
there was no value in the map.
So hands-on exercise 5 and 6 will be the register with OAuth. So for now, for these purposes, just grab a random user from just assign it to a random user, so we can move on.
I'm ready for a margarita or a Mai Tai. I don't drink actually, but that's what came to mind. All right, so keep thinking.
So
If there-
this not okay is the register. We don't have an account at that particular OAuth provider yet with this person. This particular OAuth provider user ID has not been used yet.
Yeah.
So not okay is so if it's not okay is the register with this with Amazon. And so, but we're not doing that yet. That's hands-on exercises 5 and 6.
Register at our site with Amazon, right?
Yep.
I get it.
Yep. So, but we're not doing that yet, since we'll be doing that in exercises 5 and 6.
Okay.
And so for now, just pick a random user from our user map and act as if it's that.
So let me, I want to get that last part. Don't totally got that last part, but I totally got this. Not register our site yet with Amazon, register our site with Amazon, right? So we're going to fill in how to register at our site, but they might be registered at our site, which is username and password, email and password, right?
Yep.
Because we haven't checked that. So that might also, if you were going to be very thorough, like let's check if this email, which we got back from Amazon, is associated with any account. Maybe
That one you don't want to do because the email can be changed on Amazon's side without necessarily being on our side. So if someone goes to Amazon and changes their email to something else, and then they can log in as us on our site.
Oh.
So we don't want
So
to trust.
I could spoof.
Yeah. So
I
you don't
could
want
like just try different emails until I wonder if you could hack people with OAuth that way.
It depends on how they implemented their login procedures with OAuth. So that's why I always say use the user ID because that's unchangeable.
Okay, that makes sense. So now not okay. So if they're not okay, if I look at my things up here, my maps, this is a lot of code.
Yes.
OAuth connections is going to be the key from the OAuth provider and then the email. And OAuth expiry is going to be the UUID I created.
It's like a
and then the
state to
time.
timeout.
And then the sessions for our thing is going to be a session ID and email. And then here we have database is just the email and the user. And so have we used sessions here yet?
Not in our OAuth stuff yet.
Not in our OAuth stuff yet. So what do I need to, I'm a little bit lost.
So I'm saying since we're not doing register yet, so just pick a random user from DB and set V to their email.